Hi, I'm Sade. Welcome to Coffee Bookshelves. Today we are talking about The Red Palace by June Hur. Now, I hadn't heard of this author. It was Instagram that saw that I liked Korean dramas and was like, we think you'll like this author. And it was completely right. I really enjoyed her feed. And so I looked up her writing, and I actually listened to the audiobook of this first. Now, I'm not a big fan of mysteries. She writes mysteries set in historical Korea. And I don't love mysteries because I have a problem with delayed gratification. I want to know immediately who did it. I also don't love books where multiple women are murdered. I don't really understand the fascination with killing women in increasingly creative ways. However, I made an exception because June Hur's writing is so amazing. Her stories are so good. So, like I said, I listened to the audiobook of this, and it was read by Michelle H. Lee, and her narration, her voice is so soothing and warm, and her cadence is so sort of mesmerizing. That coupled with June Hur's incredibly atmospheric, sort of visual, evocative writing, was so powerful. I really enjoyed listening to the book, and I felt like I was able to deal with my usual issue with wanting to know exactly who did it immediately, because I so enjoyed being in the world that she had created that I didn't feel a pressing need to know who'd committed the crime. I just wanted to continue in this world with the characters. The story is set in 1758 in the Joseon era, and it is about Hyun, who is the illegitimate daughter of either an aristocrat or a very high-placed government official. She has worked really hard in order to earn her sort of qualification as a nurse. And because she's sort of too highborn to do most jobs, but also there's no family money, there's no access to her father's money, so she's got to work. And so she's worked really hard to earn this position. She's become a nurse. However, her new fledgling career is threatened when she is called to perform a particular task in the palace on the same night when 4 women are murdered. Her friend and mentor is accused of being involved in the murder, and Hyun feels compelled to get involved and launch her own investigation in order to clear the name of her mentor, which threatens her career, but also brings her into the path of a new and very young police inspector who's also pursuing his own investigation for his own reasons. A lot of evidence starts to point towards the Crown Prince, and you can imagine it's extremely dangerous and probably life-threatening to accuse a member of the royal family of having committed a lot of grisly murders. So the police inspector and Hyun are really putting their lives at risk undertaking this investigation. Hyun is a really interesting sleuth. It's a time when women's lives are extremely limited in terms of what they can do. The people of that time followed Confucian beliefs and teachings, and they felt like, women were educated to be filial to their parents and their in-laws. They had to obey their husbands, and when their husbands died, their sons. So they don't really have sort of agency on their own. So then you've got this young woman who's determined to sort of live her own life and pursue the things that she's interested in, and do something like defy all the authorities and undertake this investigation. She's got a really bad relationship with her mother. She hates her father. She's got this new fledgling career that is now under threat thanks to the investigation that she's running, but she's very determined that she's going to see it through until her mentor's name is cleared. There's a romantic thread that runs through it, but again, Hyun is very adamant that she's not going to sort of fall in love recklessly. A lot to do with her mother's experiences. Her mother used to be a very well-paid entertainer and then a concubine later, and I'll just read a section of the book. The wick had burned all the way down. It was just after dawn, so I didn't want to stumble out of my chamber and disturb the entire household in search of another candle. My 5-year-old brother, Dae-hyun, was likely fast asleep, and as for mother, well, I always avoided her, reluctant to witness her tense stillness as she waited for father. He rarely visited, preferring to split his time between his wife and his new concubine. Mother was unimportant to him. Quietly moving my low-legged table closer to the window, I whispered to myself my mantra. I will never be like mother. I would not love unless I was loved first and loved the most. I would be nothing at all if I could not be first. I would not sit silently, wasting away, as the world passed me by like mother. I was determined to be heard, to have my thoughts considered. So she's determined that she is not going to fall in love with somebody, especially someone who is not of the same social strata as her, which is very important at that time. And the police inspector is from a higher part of society, so there's a natural obstacle in there. It's a very sort of claustrophobic world. Even though they're in the capital, people of certain social stratas know each other, and there's proximity to the palace with all the danger and all the court politics that happens there. It feels like everybody has secrets, everybody has something to hide, and everybody is a suspect. It makes it very thrilling, and it really does keep the pace going. I always worry with the lead character, with Hyun. She's always like, nobody knows I'm investigating. It's like everybody knows that you are investigating this murder. Watch your back. It's really good. There's also tons of people scrambling for power. There's no, sort of safety social net kind of thing. So you've really got to live by your wits and do what you can for yourself. So people are constantly leveraging the power that they have in order to claim more power, and also manipulating other people in order to move ahead in society. So it's a very dog-eat-dog world. I listened to the audiobook version, and then I wanted a physical version of the book, and I didn't want a hardcover. I prefer paperbacks. They're lighter, easier to hold. So I waited till I was in the UK, and I went to Waterstones, the biggest chain, and I said, June Hur, and they looked at me blankly, and I was like, shame on you, why don't you know? However, her books aren't out over there yet, but apparently in May of this year, 2024, they will be released over there, so I can't wait for the British public to get a load of her. She's so good. Same thing actually in the US. The books are coming out, I think, in May of this year too. So the word is spreading. She's out there. I also read that her book, A Crane Among Wolves, has been optioned by a South Korean TV company, and that South Korea to sort of West Netflix pipeline is flowing really well, so I'm hoping to see it. I hope it goes into production. I hope it comes to a TV screen near me soon, because her books are so visual that it's going to be spectacular. It's going to be wonderful. I can't wait. So yeah, I can't recommend The Red Palace highly enough. It's such a good book. Also, I'm so into and I'm so there for historical genre fiction that is not European. We need so much more of it, and this is such a great example of how good it can be. So let's just have more. I'm going to read the rest of June Hur's books, and I just highly recommend her. She is so good. The Red Palace by June Hur.